The glass slipped from her hand before she said it. I just don't feel anything for you anymore. The sound of it shattering on the kitchen tiles was almost merciful. It drowned out the silence that followed. I remember staring at the water spreading across the floor, the way it crept toward my shoes, the way her voice had gone so soft it felt rehearsed. We'd argued before, over dishes, over texts left unanswered, but this wasn't a fight. This was a verdict. What do you mean? Nothing. I heard myself ask, like maybe I'd misheard. Maybe nothing was code for tired, or confused, or please fight for me. But she only looked at me, too calm, too distant, and said, I don't love you, Daniel. I'm sorry. And just like that, 5 years collapsed into dust. I packed a bag that night. Not everything, just enough to make it clear I was leaving. She didn't stop me, didn't cry, didn't even look up from her phone. That was the first red flag I ignored, because even after I walked out, I couldn't stop thinking about how prepared she'd seemed, how there hadn't been any tremor in her voice, any trace of hesitation. Breakups are messy, uneven things, but she made it look like an errand she'd been meaning to cross off her list. I tried to let it go. I really did. The first week was a blur of silence and cheap whiskey. The apartment I'd moved into still smelled like paint and loneliness. At night, I'd scroll through old photos of us, her in that yellow sundress by the lake, her hand clutching mine during that storm in Lisbon. It all looked so alive, too alive to have ended with a shrug and a broken glass. Then came the text from Claire, her best friend. Hey, are you free to talk? There's something you should know. I hesitated. Claire and I had always had a complicated friendship. She'd been loyal to Sophie, always taking her side when we fought, but there'd been moments, quiet ones, where I caught her watching me a second too long. Still, the message pulled me in. We met at a cafe near the river. October wind rattled the umbrellas outside, and the sky looked bruised. Claire showed up late. Sunglasses although the sun was gone. She didn't waste time with small talk. I shouldn't be telling you this, she said, voice low. But I can't watch her keep lying. Lying. She didn't fall out of love, Daniel. She fell into something else. I felt my pulse spike. Ooh! She hesitated, then slid her phone across the table. A photo filled the screen. Sophie, my Sophie, laughing in the passenger seat of a car. The driver's face half turned toward her. It was my brother. At first, I didn't believe it. Couldn't. The mind refuses certain truths. It builds barricades of denial to protect itself. She said it just happened, Claire murmured. They started talking while you were out of town for that work trip in July. It's been going on for months. My throat closed. I wanted to scream, to accuse Claire of lying, but she looked wrecked, red-eyed, trembling. This wasn't gossip. This was confession. I left without saying goodbye. I don't even remember how I drove home, only that the steering wheel felt like ice under my palms. That night, I went to Sophie's apartment. The lights were on. I could see her silhouette moving behind the curtains, graceful and familiar. For a long moment, I just stood there, trying to remember what it felt like to love her without suspicion. Then I knocked. She opened the door, startled. Daniel, what are you? Where is he? I asked. My voice came out flat, almost calm. She froze. Who? I took a step closer. Don't do that. Please. For a second, her mask slipped. I saw fear, then guilt, then defiance. It's not what you think, she whispered. Then what is it, Sophie? Tell me what makes this okay. She didn't answer, and she didn't have to, because a man's voice came from the hallway behind her. Everything all right, Soph. I didn't need to look. I knew that voice better than my own. I don't remember much after that. Just flashes. My brother's face paling when he saw me. Sophie reaching for my arm, misstepping back as though her touch burned. Words were said, shouted maybe, but they felt distant, muffled, as if I were watching through glass. In the end, I walk away again. But this time, it wasn't heartbreak that hollowed me out. It was clarity. The realization that love doesn't always die. Sometimes it's murdered quietly, with lies and late-night texts. A week later, Claire called again. I almost didn't answer. I need to tell you the rest, she said, voice shaking. "I didn't show you everything that night." "What do you mean?" There was a pause, then a faint sound of her crying. "Sophie didn't start it. Your brother did. He blackmailed her, Daniel. He threatened to tell you something unless you went along." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "Tell me what?" Another silence. Then, "She was pregnant. With your child. She lost it 2 months ago. She didn't know how to tell you." The line went dead before I could respond. Now I sit in that same empty apartment, the one that still smells of paint and loneliness, staring at my phone, wondering what truth even means anymore. She said she felt nothing for me, and maybe, in that moment, she believed it. But love isn't always clean. Sometimes it's tangled up in guilt and fear, and sometimes a betrayal isn't the affair. It's the silence that comes after. And I can't tell which hurts more, that she lied to me or that I still want to forgive her.